Hello everyone, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. I've got a really great lesson for you today, especially if you are a beginner in French. If you are a beginner and you don't know the verb vouloir, you will want to learn the verb vouloir, no pun intended. Vouloir means to want. So it's a very basic verb that we use all the time. Think about it. We're always talking about what we want, what someone else wants. So let's get started with the verb vouloir. In this lesson, I am going to focus on the forms and pronunciation of the verb vouloir in the present tense, and I will give a few examples towards the end. In our next lesson, we'll look at many more examples of this verb. So let's get started. The most important thing that I need to tell you about this verb is that it is a verb that is categorized as irregular. It's an irregular verb, which means you have to memorize the forms. There's no way around it. So let's look at the forms in the present tense. We'll start with the je form. So je veux, veux, veux. Veux, je veux means I want. I want. Je veux. Tu. The form is also veux, exact same spelling. It's pronounced exactly the same way. Je veux, tu veux. Il, elle, on. It's pronounced the same as these two, but spelled a little differently. Veut, veut. Il veut, he wants. Elle veut, she wants. On veut, one wants. Nous, the nous form. Voulons, voulons. Nous voulons, we want. Nous voulons, we want. Vous, you may have heard this form. Voulez, voulez. Vous voulez. This is the formal you. So vous voulez means you want. Remember, vous voulez and tu veux both mean you want. Of course, the tu is informal. You use tu with people that you know well. You use vous to be respectful or with people that you meet for the first time. And our last form, il or elle, the plural, they veulent, veulent. Ils veulent, elles veulent. Okay, there it is, the verb vouloir in the present tense. Please take a few minutes to do whatever it is you need to do to memorize these forms in the present tense. You will be using the verb vouloir all the time in conversation. So let's go ahead and look at a few basic examples now to finish up this lesson. So there are two very important things that you can do with the verb vouloir. And I'm going to tell you what those two things are. However, I'd like to employ a little technique. I'd like to ask you to just close your eyes, just so you can listen to what I'm saying. When we have our eyes open, that's a lot of input and it competes for your attention. So I'd like for you to just listen for a second, or you can keep them open if you'd like. That's fine if you have good powers of concentration. But here it is. Here are the two things that we do with the verb vouloir, with a conjugated form of the verb vouloir. So what you think about what I just said, je veux is I want. So after that conjugated form, I can either tell you, say or write a noun. So I can tell you that I want something, or I can use an unconjugated verb, an infinitive. So those two things. A conjugated form can be followed by a noun, I want something, or it can be followed by a verb, I want to do something. So think in those terms. You want something or you want to do something. You want something or you want to do something. You want something or you want to do something. So, okay, so you can open your eyes now. And let me give you some examples. So the first one here, here's the first thing that you can do. I can tell you that I want something like a coffee. Je veux un café. Je veux un café. I want a coffee. Je veux un café. I could also tell you that I want some coffee, not an individual cup of coffee, but just a certain undefined amount. Remember, this is the partitive article. We had a lesson about that previously. So if you're not familiar with the partitive article, you can go back and look for my lesson on the partitive. So du café, du is the combination of de and le. It's a contraction. So when I say je veux du café, it means I want some coffee. I want some coffee. Or here is the word for apple. I can say I want an apple. Je veux une pomme. Je veux une pomme. So remember, a conjugated form of the verb vouloir with a noun. To want something. So that's the first one. Here's the second thing that I was talking about. Second thing that you can do with a conjugated form of vouloir. It can be followed by an infinitive or a verb that hasn't been conjugated yet. So I could say something like je veux manger. Je veux manger. I want to travel. Je veux voyager. I want to sing. Je veux chanter. Je veux chanter. One important thing about this verb that often comes up is using vouloir to order in a restaurant. The don't do is don't use je veux un café, for example, to order a coffee in a restaurant. There is a more polite form which we are going to learn in an upcoming lesson. I will show you how to do that, but please don't use this form to ask a server in a restaurant for a coffee. It's better used to tell, for example, someone that you're dining with that, oh, I want a coffee, just kind of as a matter-of-fact expression. Okay, so we'll get to that in a future lesson very soon. It's coming up. And let's go ahead and just talk about the takeaway for this lesson. So here's the takeaway. Be sure to absolutely memorize these forms. There's no way around it. At some point you have to memorize them. Native speakers memorize them just through practice, through usage, so you can do the same. So that's takeaway number one. Memorize, 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 because you'll get a lot of use out of this verb. So number two, remember that there are two ways that you can use the verb in the present tense. A conjugated form can be followed by a noun to talk about something that you want. For example, to want something. And you can also use the conjugated form in the present tense of the verb vouloir with an infinitive to talk about something that you want to do. And that's it. That's it for this lesson. Thanks so much for watching. I will continue with the verb vouloir in the next lesson, and I will give you a lot more examples and practice. So I hope to see you in the next lesson. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate it very much if you'd give it a like. To continue learning and go on to another lesson, click on the video that appears here on your screen, or you can find them in order on my channel homepage. See you soon. À bientôt.